Hi everyone, this is Duncan from the podcast Under the Stairs. This particular video you're checking out just now has the archival recording attached to it. The archival recording is from our podography, I think that's the term that we use, and it will feature reviews of movies that fall under the 88 Films Italian Collection series. Now, the vast majority of reviews we've done over the last 5 years have been in audio format and published on our RSS feed for the podcast. We are transitioning over to give you access to all those reviews right here on YouTube under a playlist. Now, we're doing that because we're about to do our first video recording of 88 Films Italian Collection release, that being Tentacles. So there's plenty of opportunity to delve into the back catalogue of the reviews here. And if you like what you hear, then please hit subscribe on the channel, leave your comments below, and check out the rich catalogue of over 1,200 episodes we have on podcasts Under the Stairs on any podcatching device or Spotify that you use. So stick around, enjoy the episode, and I'll speak to you very soon.
There's a homicidal maniac out there somewhere. And somehow you seem to fit into his plans. I just want to make sure he stays out there.
Joanna Pacula, the star of Gorky Park.
You ran a pastry shop. Did you know him?
No.
That's where that thing in your refrigerator came from.
And welcome back. She just heard the trailer for disc number 31 in the Italian collection by 88 Films. This is Body Puzzle. Oh, that's right. Let's see what it says on the 88 Films website. It says, Demons director Lamberto Bava continued to craft a few high-profile plasma spillers even after the golden age of Italian gore had passed. And 1992's Body Puzzle is a prime example of the maestro's macabre excellence. A Giallo gem which is long overdue some serious reappraisal from fans of Euro horror excess. In this mind-mangling mystery, an attractive young widow played by the prolific B-movie babe Joanna Pacula becomes inadvertently caught up in a killer's sick scheme, with the mysterious murderer leaving lopped off limbs at her doorstep and taunting her from afar. Featuring a supporting cast that includes the ever iconic Giovanna Lombardo Radice from Cannibal Ferox and City of the Living Dead, Body Puzzle would be Bava's Giallo swan song, and there is little doubting that the legendary filmmaker went out with a big bloody bang. Arguably even more twisted than A Blade in the Dark, and with a barmier plot than his classic Demons, 88 Films is proud to present Body Puzzle, uncut and in HD. Special features on this one are high definition Blu-ray, 1080p presentation of the film, uncompressed English audio, newly created English subtitles, and a reversible sleeve with alternate arc title Mysteria. And that's artwork. It's region B, so it was locked to the UK. Picture format is HD 1080p 185. And audio format is LPCM stereo. The movie is about an hour and 40 minutes long. Yeah, this movie's nuts in the best possible way. It's nuts in a way which is inherently dumb, but hugely entertaining. For the most part, it follows a killer who is a musician who listens to classical music whilst roaming the city and what appears to be at random killing strangers and taking souvenirs with him, body parts with him, which he then uses to intimidate and terrify a victim he is stalking, this woman who recently lost her husband. The police get involved, obviously, and they're trying to work out why this guy's on this killing rampage, why he appears to be stalking this lady, and if there's anything they can do to derive a pattern to stop it. And because we're spoiling this movie, because we spoil all movies, the pivot here is twofold, right? So the first pivot in terms of trying to work out what is going on is that the killer himself appears to be targeting people who had transplants, donor transplants, from the body of the dead husband of the person he is stalking. Right, you got all that? Right, because it's going to get a whole hell of a lot more dumb. But that's the pattern. That's what he's doing. He's taking back the body parts and delivering them to the widow. The second thing is that the dead husband may have had this secret life where he was in a homosexual relationship with someone else who we find out through pictures is actually the killer. So it kind of looks like maybe what he's doing is going around and collecting the body parts from the man he loved to return them to his ex-lover's wife. I'm not entirely sure the logic behind it, but the police are surefire this is what's happened. Now, the police have made a whole manner of assumptions, as has the audience here, as to who the husband actually is, and towards the end of the movie we find out that it's actually not the person we thought it was. The killer himself is actually the husband of this stalked woman, and it was her brother who we thought was the husband. Did everyone get that? Because like even now I know the explanation and it makes sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense, but it connects in my head. But trying to explain it feels like I'm tripping over my own tongue. But yeah, basically, the supposed dead husband was not only married to this woman that he's now stalking, but he was engaged in a homosexual affair with her brother. And yeah, no one seemed to check this. No one at the police department seemed to check this. No one seems interested. And yeah, that's kind of how the story goes. And it's very dumb. It's very, I can't stress that enough. It's a dumb fucking movie. However, it is hugely entertaining. The kills in this movie range from kind of laugh out loud, this is ridiculous, to bone-chillingly terrifying. I think when we discussed A Blade in the Dark, which feels like years ago, it was probably about a year ago, I think we actually did sit down and discuss that movie, I said that I was surprised by how violent it was. There was one specific scene of kind of elongated torture with a woman behind a fence and a guy with a box kind of cutter swiping this at her, maliciously cutting her a little bit at a time each time. And I remember saying, like, this is fucking dark, man. This is really dark, even for this time period. It looked like Lamberto Bava was maybe taking cues from how dark someone like Argento was getting. There is a scene in this movie which I think is like tantamount to like a cross between Argento and De Palma. What happens is the killer, who wears like a stocking over his face, which does actually make him look very creepy, decides to go after his next victim, who's a woman who is in one of these toilet stalls, and he comes in and then tries to grab her bag from under the stall. So when she puts her hand down, basically grabs her arms, pulls her arms out, and then kind of ties her so she can't get away, then climbs over the top of the toilet cubicle and then chops her fucking hand off with an axe. It's kind of glorious. And it comes like, it's at those moments you see those scenes, you're like, what the fuck? Because the rest is so goofy. There's a death scene in a sweet shop really early in the movie, which is so goofy. So goofy. There's a death scene in a pool later on in the movie, which is so goofy. There's an abduction scene in a hospital, which is like laugh out loud hilarious, but the movie itself kind of straddles this absurdity and really kind of, what the fuck? sort of grim subject matter in a way which is delightfully weird and absolutely bonkers. And it kind of once again reminds me why Lamberto Bava is a director who I didn't really check out much before, but through doing this series, I'm catching a lot of these movies and I'm watching them, and he was never going to save the Italian cinema genre. He was never going to do it, but by God does he know how to make a fun movie. And I've said it before, in comparison to something like that 88 film slasher collection, where it looks like, yeah, people are having fun, but the quality is shit. Even at their worst here, when they're absolutely bonkers and absolutely having fun, and it doesn't make any sense, and you're rolling your eyes so hard that your eyes almost fall into the back of your skull, you are still aware that there's a lot of craft going on here. He's a remarkably good director, even though the movies and projects he's taken are tantamount to ridiculous. I just think this is a lot of fun. I really, really, really do. I think, you know, calling it a Giallo is maybe a stretch. To me, this feels more like a kind of stalker horror sort of movie, or even to an extent kind of bordering on the slasher genre, to be honest with you. You could probably call this a slasher and you wouldn't get many raised eyebrows, like an Italian slasher, which I know a lot of people are like, well, Italian slashers are Giallos, Duncan. Well, they are and they aren't. There is a specific set of rules that need to be in place to make a Giallo, and this one doesn't follow most of them. Yes, we have a deranged killer. Yes, it's something to do with our past, but there isn't many... You know, there isn't any surprises here. It doesn't follow, you know, someone who has seen something that they shouldn't have either. So we don't have a foreign tourist, but we do have a lot of police procedure. And the police stuff in here is great. The central character, whose name escapes me at the moment, I think the only other movie I've seen him in is The Bodyguard, with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, where he plays the killer in that particular one, the stalker killer guy. He is the cop in this movie, and he's got a lot of kind of quirks and the way that the Italians write cops. You know, he's 75% son of a bitch, 25% lovable rogue. And yeah, I think there really isn't... I'm finding myself saying this a lot more these days. There really isn't much more I can add to this movie, if I'm honest. I think it's a lot of fun. I think you need to suspend a lot of disbelief. I think the reveal is ridiculous. It kind of reminded me of a really dumb version of the Wolfgang Petersen movie Shattered, which, if you've never seen before, it's got Bob Hoskins, and it's kind of great, and you should go and check it out. It's this little early 90s gem of... that just doesn't get talked about. I've covered it on podcasts Under the Stairs, and I've covered it on Duncan and Bo Come Correct. My pick both times, because I really like championing that movie, and this would make a weird goofy double bill with it, but it doesn't have any of the clout or the class of that sort of movie. It does have some beautiful cinematography though. There's some scenes earlier in the movie where he's breaking into the property, and the way the lighting's shot, the kind of pool, which makes, if it is a pool or a water feature, is right in the middle of our fucking living room. Is that the light's kind of dancing off it, it's creating these weird shadows, and then he's stalking in menacingly, and it's all like, it's literally just, it's a tickle to the taint of this reviewer, you know what I mean? I'm just loving it. So yeah, it's not a great movie, but on entertainment value, it's a fucking great movie. I found myself smiling all the way to the end, and then kind of gleefully looking forward to the next time I watch it. It's one that I'll shove back on for sure. It's a definite one that'll get repeat watched. I don't understand, once again, why this is a bit light on special features. And when I say a bit light on special features, there isn't any. So I'm not too sure what the deal was here. Sometimes, and I've said it before, I think 88 films rush to get things out that if they'd hold back maybe 6 months, there is a chance that they might be able to get involved or have conversations with some of the players and action in it. I just get the feeling that this one's a get the movie out. Which, I mean, it's fine that I want to own that movie, but at the same time, you know, a lot of these players, Lamberto Bava's still alive. It would be interesting to hear him talk about the decline of the Italian film genre towards the early 90s. That would have been interesting, you know, something like that, just to capture some insight into it would have been kind of cool, but it's not there for for one reason or another. In terms of scores for this movie, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I had a ball with this one. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Lamberto Bava once again proving that he's schlocky but in a charming sort of way. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this movie, and if you get a chance, I would say check it out. It is cheesy AF, but entertaining in a way that few films can boast. But there we go.